We're live?
We're
Are
live.
we live? We ready? You guys ready?
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Oh man.
Woo! Let's
Here's
go.
what I love. Whether you give me 5 people or 500 people, you guys are going to get an awesome night tonight. I hope you're ready.
Let's do it.
Did he warn you what this is, the front
No,
row?
I did not want to do that.
Oh man.
That side gets a
Don't
little
worry.
bumpy over there.
We're going to pray for you
That's why he's
afterwards.
on that side.
This is it. This is it. Right in the zone. See, I'm glad you guys are here. This is the best way to kick off the year. We talked about a 5 essential class. One of the things we were talking about leading up to this is our office bases a lot of what we do off of something called the 5 Health Essentials. And when I was going around asking patients, do you know what those 5 essentials are? And a lot of people could not tell me what those things were. It was a gut check that said, we need to have a seminar. And we need to be talking about what are these 5 health essentials. And what I love about this class is this is going to be basically like a beginner class leading up into the big one we have coming up into February 18th. And I think that having a taste of what are these 5 health essentials and how do we begin to put these and apply them into your life, that right there is a huge start. Okay? So when we dive in, when we look at this, the purpose, here's what I love. Standard of natural health care. This is the biggest thing I think we stand for, is that we become the standard of natural health care for people. One of my visions that God put in my heart a long time ago that I've just now becoming really, really vocal about is I believe that everybody should have the ability to live the rest of their life never needing the medical system ever again. I think God built you perfectly. You have everything that you need in your body to be healthy. And I think that if we can be proactive enough with our health, that you can live the rest of your life without another drug, another surgery, another shot. Who would want that? Mm-hmm. Amen, right? Yeah. So here's the thing. That just doesn't come free though. If it was easy, we wouldn't have one of the most medicated countries. You guys agree? Mm-hmm. If it was easy, we wouldn't be where we are today. So it takes work, it takes discipline, but it also takes understanding where do we start and how do we start to put these things in, right? So I always wanted to show you guys this little. This is my crew, and my vision. I talk about like starting and living your life without needing the medical system. These 2 kiddos here, both of these kids were born at home, unvaccinated, have never had a drug in their body ever. Yay. Have never ever had a drug in their body. And I look at this, and my vision is that they never need it. They never ever need it. And the true hero is this woman right there, who was able to do that for us, you know? Yeah. And I tell you guys, this is it, is that if we imagine that the children in God's kingdom never need to go that route. And I think that, heaven forbid we do, we have one of the best systems for it. But how awesome if we could be so on top of it that we never need to utilize it ever again. Amen? Amen? So this is where the purpose of this is to start to apply these things in. And again, I'm going to go quick because there's a lot of stuff, but the thought is that we want to start to trickle in some of these things into our lifestyle as we go. So these are the 5 essentials, and I know that Morgan did a wonderful job briefing you guys, giving you a kick head start. So core chiropractic, putting nutrition into your body. Again, we're going to go dive into more of these, but good nutrition to your body, having a solid mindset, using exercise and oxygen to your body, and eliminating toxins. These 5 things. Here's the thing I want you guys to encourage you to understand is you don't have to be perfect in all of these areas, but there should be a constant progress to continue to get better in each of these areas. Does that make sense? I don't expect everyone to go home tonight and just dial this thing down 100%, but there is a limitless focus on making sure that, and I'll be super transparent, my wife and I, every 6 months, we do a self-reflection and say, how are we doing in these 5 areas? This is our health check-in. How are we doing in these 5 areas? What needs to get better? And we can always get better. All of us could get better. But we always say, what needs my attention right now? Because, full transparency, I really like this one. I'm really good at the exercise part. That's my jam, right?
Yeah.
But because I'm good at that, that's sometimes I can get really focused on just doing that and I neglect the other pieces. Anybody else can relate there, right?
Yeah.
We get really caught on the stuff we like and then the other ones kind of falter down. And here's what we want to look at is that sometimes I gotta say, man, my nutrition's been kind of getting sloppy. I need to dial that part in. That's my focus this quarter. For me, full transparency, my sleep has been very off for a long time. So with mindset, I talk about sleep and recovery. That's a big focus of mine this next quarter is I need to hone down and prioritize my sleep so my body has the ability to recover, because I'm just burning the candles day in and day out, right? So we got to look at this and say, tonight, here's what I hope you do. I hope you think about, as we go through these 5 areas, and say, which of the 5 essentials is going to be my thing that I'm going to go home today and say, that's the one that I'm going to put some attention into. Sound good? Mm-hmm. Okay. Where do we start? How do we prioritize this? In my opinion, I think that they're all important, but I think that this is where we got to start. And the reason why is that chiropractic care, this is why all of you guys are here in the first place, right? Is that chiropractic care is the thing that creates balance, stability, communication, and energy connection to the body. Everything we do is about energy connection to the body. So when we're thinking about this, when you look at the way that God designed your body, every adjustment that's given helps your brain send the proper signals into your body to communicate to every organ, cell, and tissue. This is enhancing the efficacy of your body. So here's what I love. I started saying this the other day, and I felt like it really connected, is when we look at our body, everything over here is all the things that we tend to focus on. We tend to focus on our gut and our digestive system and our heart health and our lungs and all these things over here, right? This is a big focus. But what we've got to think about is that if all of this is priority, what controls all of this? This side. This side controls this, but in our culture, we don't think about this. We say, hey, if that's not working, here's a blood pressure pill. Hey, if that's not working, here's a gut pill. Does that make sense? We are very good at seeing what's not working and giving a pill for it, but we aren't good at dialing back and saying, well, what regulates and what controls that? Mm-hmm. And we have to get better as a society and a culture of going back to being a culture of cause. We have to be a culture of cause. Because, I mean, this is going to go a whole lot deeper than just your back hurting, right? But culture of cause meaning if you've got a broken marriage, what's the cause? Culture of cause. If your spine's not right, culture of cause. If you know that you have some hardships and you're just not spending enough time with the Lord, culture of cause. There's got to be a culture where you're saying, what is the cause of where I am and how do I get better from there? And we got to stop being afraid to dive straight in, right? And sometimes it's uncomfortable going head first with the devil, yeah? It doesn't feel good a lot of times. But this is where sometimes we got to look at ourselves and say, I got to go deep and go right on and head first into the things that are holding me back so I can step forward, okay? So this is where I say start here because this is the area that's going to control everything else. If we look at nutrition, food is so good. Again, we teach nutrition. Food is so good. But remember that the food you eat will only be assimilated and absorbed into your body if the nervous system that regulates it can do it. If the nervous system, when you're exercising, the blood will only pump and the muscles will only grow if the nervous system that regulates it can do it. Does that make sense? Yeah. This is why we start here. This is the biggest piece. Now, when that gets out of alignment and we are out of alignment with our spine and everything else, again, a lot of you guys have seen this chart that has been around the office, but these are a whole host of symptoms of what it says. And to be honest with you, what I should do is put a big check engine light right here. Okay? This is your check engine light. When you see these symptoms, you are not the label of that symptom. You are not the headache. That is a red flag. That is a symptom, a check engine light that something is not right with your body. And we got to go back to culture of cause. You guys with me? Right. So this year, anything that you see on this side, if you see that stuff and you can resonate with it, or you know somebody that can resonate with that, that tells you that there is something not right and the body is trying to express itself in some way, and we got to go back to culture of cause. Okay? Yes?
Do you have a copy of that?
Yes,
good.
We actually do.
Good.
Yeah, my team can get you a copy of that.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Morgan, make sure we get some of these. This is good. Now, a lot of people, this is so good too. As I was thinking about this, when you guys come in, we know that there's exercises we do before the adjustment, there's the adjustment, and then there's exercises after. But I think that I wanted to make sure you guys understood why do we do all of that, right? What's the why behind it? And here's the thing, when you're looking at correcting the spine and making sure that everything is not only getting corrected, but it's staying corrected, there's this process called mix, fix, and set, meaning that your spine, all of us, our whole day, most of us are sitting down and we're stagnant, and the problem is that everything is like this, okay? The reason why we mix, the reason why we do our neck traction and our wobble cushion is to break up all this tight tissues and the tight muscles from the long day, to loosen everything up. Then we get on the table, and that's where we fix it, where we actually do the physical realigning of the spine, and then we got to set it. Now we train the muscle memory to hold it there, so that way we don't let it go right back to where it was. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And a lot of chiropractic offices, what happens is that you go in, you don't do any mixing, you're stiff as a board, they start pounding on you, and you go back into your car like this. And you're like, I don't know why chiropractic doesn't work. This sucks, right? And instead of saying, no, there's a process, there's a reason for the process. So we have to make sure your spine is mobile. We got to remobilize it, we fix it, and then we restabilize it. This is the reason why we do all those three things. Who here had a light bulb moment and was like, that makes so much sense, right? So good.
I didn't like it before.
So, yeah. Totally.
I like
no.
it now.
Yes, good, because now it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And then, this is the final piece, the home care. So this is your home rehab. Now again, I'm a big believer that like this can't be all on your shoulders, and it can't be all on my shoulders, but like together we have to work together. So you're with you a lot more than I'm with you. Does that make sense? So if I can equip you with the right exercises and stretches to continue to move your spine in the right direction, even when you're not here, do you guys see how you have a better chance at getting this thing better?
Yes.
Right? So when you start to look, every piece of your home equipment, it's designed to continue to strengthen and stabilize your spine in between the adjustments. I only get some of you guys sometimes once a week, twice a week, whatever the number is. That's 6 whole days that I don't have you. Does that make sense? That's 6 whole days that we're like, you have active stuff to be working on your body, getting your body better. So the more you engage in doing this stuff, this is where we cement it home, okay? This is why this is so important.
Dr. Mike,
Yes.
what percentage of the progress do you attribute to the home?
Oh man, like honestly a majority.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because what I said, like I literally get 2 minutes to put everything back in place, and all of this is a huge piece going back to but this is a huge piece of saying at the beginning of my day, am I starting my day by keeping my spine as a priority? Am I finishing my day with my spine as a priority? We were taught really young to make our teeth a priority when we wake up, when we go to bed. I'm telling people that your spine should be a priority when you wake up and when you go to bed, right?
Yeah.
So if you can start your day and end your day with that same concept in mind, you will be so surprised. And I've had people that I've said, I'm going to challenge you, do this for me, just commit to 1 week of doing everything I've said to the T, just 1 week. And if you don't feel better, then don't do it ever again. And I've never had somebody come back and say they didn't feel better, right?
Yeah.
Because this stuff, everything plays such a big factor, right? Now, to make it even better, the lovely Morgan and I spent a very long couple hours recording all these new videos to make sure that if you forgot how to do an exercise on our YouTube channel, there is very, very awesomely done videos to show you guys exactly how it's supposed to be done if you ever forget. So you're gonna see, I know you see me here, but she's the real model. You get to see her in the video. But all you gotta do is go onto our YouTube page, go under videos, and then all of these videos are on here, so you're gonna have access to them at any point. If you need a refresher, you just log on and you can go back and catch those and know where and how to do certain stuff. Cool? Okay, we're gonna transition to nutrition. And again,
I'm good.
if I had to summarize nutrition, and I say this at probably every nutrition class I do, is that we need more foods made by God and less food made by man.
Yeah, that's good.
I think that if someone knew nothing about nutrition whatsoever, nothing, I tell people, if you just did that, you would be better off than where you are. Does that make sense? We need more foods that come from the ground and less foods that are coming from a factory. And I think that overall, what we start to see is that our bodies were created and designed to eat foods that come from the earth, that come from God. Our bodies don't know how to process foods that have been processed. Our body we weren't designed to break that down, and it's like trying to assimilate a foreign object. You guys with me? So when you start to look at breaking food down, what we want to look at is when we define it, how do you define that? So we actually put a list together, and this I don't have a copy of, so you guys want to take a picture of this. But when we start to look at some of this stuff, what does it look like to see food made by man versus food made by God? And I think, again, you start looking at things like naturally raised meats, organic fruits and veggies, sprouted grains, like grains that are actually sprouted and fermented, like sourdough and things like that. You start looking at raw dairy, so good for the body at a raw form. We start looking at certain vitamins and minerals that you're going to get. I said fermentation stuff. Salt is something that I'm gonna go into salt a whole lot at the next seminar, but salt has gotten a bad rap for a long time. You guys right? How many of you guys hear from doctors, oh, you're eating too much salt, salt's gonna give you a heart attack, right? Man, this culture is so turned around. Here's the thing, white, refined table salt will give you a heart attack. That is something that's foreign and doesn't come from the earth, right? We created that. You look at pink Himalayan salt, and you look at other types of salt that are just in a raw form. This is so nourishing and good. There's so many minerals, raw minerals that are good for the body. So we start looking at, have you guys seen or heard the electrolyte we have up there called Element?
Oh, yeah.
Element, when you try that, that is such a strong salt base because again, you're rehydrating your body to such a bigger level. So having the right salt is not bad. Having the garbage table white salt that you get at the restaurants, that I would not touch. It's a very, very big difference. Then you start looking at all this stuff. Again, pesticides, the chlorinated water that we have, all the skimmed and industrialized dairy that we have that's been so processed over, your body can't recognize this stuff. This is, again, I could go on for way too long about this, but it's the over processing of the food that has made it so damaging. It is the grain-fed meat, it's all of the farm-raised fish, it's all of that stuff that is so toxic to your body because you have to understand when you get to meats, do I have it? Oh, I'm getting there, hold on, I'm gonna get ahead of myself. Breaking this down really quick, 3 big things that we're gonna hit on nutrition, and meats is what I'm gonna get into next, but meats, and then there's something called the Dirty Dozen, Clean 15, really, really easy thing for people to look at, and then proper supplementation. But when it comes to the meats, this is the first thing. If you're going to change one thing, you said, hey, there's one thing I can do with my nutrition, where do I start? It's you got to put clean meats in, because the problem is that you don't eat. It's not who you are, what you ate, right? It's you're eating what your food ate. If the steak that you're eating was shoved with all kind of hormones and antibiotics and a bunch of grain, you're getting a bunch of inflammatory omega-6s into your body, and it's like eating inflammation. No wonder the meat is $3. There's that's crap. Sorry, I'm gonna say some bad stuff tonight. There's I'm sorry now, but there's a reason why. When you start seeing all this meat that's so cheap, there's a reason why it's so cheap. It's not good. It's terrible. There's a reason why you pay for the better quality meat. There's a reason why you get wild-caught fish. There's a reason why all these things, and there's again, that's the nutrients that are in it is so life-giving to you when it's whole. When we buy it processed, it's like they strip all of the nutrients out of it, and now you're being robbed. Does that make sense there? So if you're going to change one thing with your nutrition, meat is where you want to make your investment. Pay more money for the good meats, and I would rather you pay more money for the good meats and then buy non-organic vegetables, right? But with that being said, here's where the Dirty Dozen comes in. Not all vegetables and fruits have to be bought organic. So if you're gonna save some money somewhere, the EWG, Environmental Working Group, every year they come out with this Clean 15 Dirty Dozen. So when you see something over here, anything on the clean list, you do not have to buy organic. Everything on the dirty list is very highly sprayed with pesticides and herbicides and things that I would never eat anything on this list that wasn't organic, okay? And then another side note to help you out is that when you look at things like an avocado or a banana, it's got such a hard shell around it, and you're eating the inside, you're not eating the outside. So you're okay to not buy an organic banana because you're gonna peel off that stuff and eat the inside. Does that make sense? So you can, that's an easier place to start there. Go.
For the broccoli, mushrooms, cabbage, and cauliflower that don't have the natural protector, I'm curious why they're deemed clean.
I think they're in
Oil
nature,
usually.
Very
are just not sprayed. For whatever reason, they
They're
just
just
aren't
not
sprayed
sprayed.
as much.
Okay.
Now again, I think so. Like for me and my family,
Mm-hmm.
we choose to buy them organic anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying if this is more for if someone says, hey, finances are tight, and if I
Right.
have to choose, this is where I would start here first,
Okay.
right? So like that's where I would cut it first.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
For sure. Thank
Yeah.
you.
But you typically, with some of that, you boil or you cook, which then takes care of, I'm asking.
Yeah.
Does it take care of the pesticide? I mean, or
To some-
cleaning them and then,
To some degree,
okay,
but a lot of that stuff like
regard.
just wouldn't wouldn't bank on it.
I don't eat broccoli anyways.
Yeah. You haven't had my broccoli.
Yeah, that's
Okay, protein and greens. So a lot of people, I would say that most commonly when I talk to patients, a problem that we find is they have a hard time getting enough protein in their diet, and they have a hard time getting enough minerals from the micronutrients from greens. Greens are very good, very micronutrient dense. People we have a very carb-driven culture, right? So it's very difficult to get enough protein in your diet and enough micronutrients. This is why I think that when we look at the protein we have, and again, just to be here, so I don't carry the whey protein in my office, mostly because a lot of people don't do good with dairy, period. So we do the bone broth protein. This way there's no dairy in any, it's so clean, anybody can do the bone broth protein. And then the greens. These two are by far my favorite things right
Greens are
here.
amazing.
Greens are just so good. I mean, I put probably 2 scoops a day that I'm eating throughout the day. And again, it's like a shot of micronutrients, so easy to get. So easy to get. It says chocolate here, we have a berry flavor. This is, if you have kids and you need to get your kids to eat more vegetables, the berry flavored one, we get a bowl of raw yogurt, and we will put a scoop of berry greens, and when we mix it, it just tastes like berry flavored yogurt. And my son will down it because he thinks he's eating berry flavored yogurt, not to mention he's getting a bunch of greens in him, and he has no idea, right? So how do you sneak it in? This is like ways that you can sneak stuff in. And again, sometimes if you guys are getting adjusted and you'll see like a shaker bottle on the backside, what that most likely is water with a scoop of each of these in it. And that's how I'm getting my extra protein and greens in throughout the day to keep me moving. Cool? Last piece I go over is the Daily Essential Pack. Again, this is just something, it's just a no-brainer. It's just something where like there's certain vitamins and minerals that we're just deficient in, and how do we make it simple? The Daily Essential it's just simple. I don't know if it's just me because I'm a dude, but I like things simple. It doesn't get much more simple than everything coming in one baggie. You take your baggie, and then all your vitamins are done for the day, right? So like if you haven't got on the essentials yet, you're silly. Get on the essentials. It's so easy. So these are simple. Now, mindset. This is where I could speak for hours and hours. I love this piece. Now, with this, I tailored this down for a little bit because we're going to spend about an hour and a half of this topic on the 18th of the seminar. So make sure you're ready for that. But when it comes to mindset, I thought to myself, what are some of the key things that I think are important for people to start implementing mindset into their life? And one of the things that I feel like changed my life when I was first starting this was I call it a war plan. And the reason I call it a war plan is my mentor one time said that the moment you open your eyes, you have a battle with the devil right away, right? It is like you're going head on with the devil from the moment your eyes open, and I'm thinking to myself, it's so true. And if I don't have a battle plan ready for the day, then I'm gonna get eaten up. So when we look at it, my wife and I, we do a war planning. So on Sunday, what that means is we look at each other's schedule for the whole week. And I know exactly where I'm gonna be and what I'm gonna do every day of the week all the way through. Have you guys, who's heard that phrase, discipline equals freedom? Right? The more disciplined you become, the more freedom you get in your life. So when it comes to war planning, if I am so disciplined with I know exactly where I'm supposed to be, I don't waste time in transitions throughout the week because there's no thought process. My thought process is I grab my phone, I say, cool, I'm supposed to be here, here I go. Supposed to be reading now? Great. Supposed to be playing with my kids now? Great. Like I just know exactly where I'm going to be always, so I don't ever get to the end of the day and say, man, I wish I would have had more time for this. I don't, because it's planned, right? And again, I'm going to be very transparent and say that obviously life sometimes throws that a curveball. The other day I had my war plan set to get up at 5, make some coffee, start my reading, do some exercises, and at 5, guess who else woke up? My little boy. And he was not about to let me read anything. So we called an audible, right? And here's the idea, we don't stress about it because you got to be able to say, cool, pitch an audible, and I'm gonna move things around here. But because I know where my day's stacked, I know where I can move things around and fit it in somewhere else. Does that make sense? So like you don't let this like lock you down and say, oh, if that didn't happen, everything's a waste, the whole day's falling apart. You gotta be like fluid, you know, how can I do this? But it brings so much more peace to your day. It brings so much more, go back to stress, but so much less stress because you just know where you're supposed to be, right? Having a morning routine, same thing. I think that if you win your morning, you can win your day. I believe if you win enough days, you can win your week. Win enough weeks, you guys see where I'm going with this? So eventually, all this starts with your morning. So many people that I talk to, I ask, what's your morning routine? And they say, wake up and scroll, check my Instagram, read emails, get to work, right? Like my brother, God bless him, I love him to death, but he will wake up at 7:58 and be on his Zoom call for work at 8 o'clock. And it's like, I can't fathom that whatsoever. A morning routine is so solid, and I think that this can be something that's 10 minutes that grounds you, or it can be something that's 2 hours and extensive. In different seasons of my life, I've done all of it, right? I've had 2-hour morning routines where I'm up at 4:30 to 6:30 doing different things to set me up. And then there's been seasons where we've had a brand new baby where I'm like, okay, I need 10 minutes. Can I do 10 minutes to like lock it in? And here's what I've come to is that, and this is going to be obviously very different for everybody, so I can't give you like there's no like proper thing for it. But what I found that helps me the most is if I can do something that activates my mind, my body, and my spirit. If I can do those 3 things, and I can change the length of time for whatever that looks like, but if I can do something to get those 3 things locked in for the day, then I'm grounded and I'm ready, and I just become like ready to handle whatever else, right? So we want to put on like, you're putting on the armor early on so that whatever comes at you, you're ready. Yeah. And most people, I would say, should start off in gratitude. Too many times we start off in a negative mindset, and we're looking at emails thinking, gosh, I'm already behind. Oh man, this, oh that, oh look at what the news is saying, and we just get so caught up. You want to help have less stress in your life and have more gratitude? Don't ever watch the news ever again. Turn it off and never look at it ever again. You're welcome. There you go. Just go home and do that. You're going to be better off. But I think that starting off by waking up, and I did this challenge one time with a few patients, and I said, can you wake up and tell me 3 things you're grateful for? And a lot of people can't. And that's where it hit me quite a bit. You know, if there's not 3 things in this life that you can't be grateful for, there's a problem. And I think that there's so much, and we don't spend enough time in gratitude. Then if you're not grateful for the things you have right now and the things God's given you right now, how are you ever going to be happy anywhere else in your life? Does that make sense?
Makes total sense, yeah.
You got to be able to be grounded and be grateful in the moment you're in. One of the things, the way I heard it was, you got to be grateful for where you are on the way to where you're going.
That's good.
That's a write or down, right?
Yeah.
Grateful for where you are on the way to where you're going. If most of us, again, are so focused on that over there and trying to go there, that we never show appreciation for what happened right here. At the end of the year that just happened, I asked a lot of our patients, I said, what are you most proud of that happened this last year? No one can think of anything because we're already so focused on the next year. We don't take time to reflect on what just happened this past year. A whole year of your life just went by and you can't think of one thing that you're proud of. Does that make sense? Like, we need to be able to take time to sit back and reflect. At the end of the night, great day, sit back and just reflect. What am I proud of today? What happened that's great today?
Oh, you're a chiropractor.
Makes you so happy. Yeah.
Look at that.
Listen, all you guys, this is my gratitude right here. So like these are things that I think, and again, sleep is something that, as I was telling you guys, is something that just needs to be a priority. again, next seminar, I'm going to spend a lot of time diving into like the why behind the sleep. But sleep needs to be a priority. And a lot of you guys innately know that when you sleep is when you recover and you rest the most. So we need to get back to that, right? Okay, exercise and oxygen. This is something that I actually have a guest speaker coming into the February seminar who used to be the strength and conditioning coach for a few NFL football teams, really high-level college teams. I mean, just an incredible, incredible guy. He's going to come in and talk about this at a high level that I think when we see this either gets people really excited or gets them really scared. People either flock to it or they run from it. It's one of the two, right? You don't really see a lot of like lukewarm people with exercise, okay?
Yeah.
And I think that here's where it could go a lot of ways. Do you guys know what the best exercise for you is?
Stretch.
It's the one that you enjoy.
Breathing.
It's the one that you enjoy, because if I tell you that the best exercise is powerlifting, but you hate powerlifting and you're never going to do it, it doesn't matter. It's not good, right? But like, here's what I think. I think that there are benefits to lots of different types of exercise. So if you want to come up and we can talk privately about different types and benefits of individual types of exercise. But I also think that in general, we just need to move more. Can we just agree that?
Move your body.
You just got to move more. And I think we just don't move enough. I think that if the majority of people committed to moving their body, getting their heart rate up and sweating once a day, and that's it. I'm not telling you to go spend an hour running in the gym. I'm saying get your heart rate up, sweat at least once a day. You would be surprised how much better you would feel just by starting there. And the more advanced people want to get, I would be more than happy to go down those routes. I did that for many years of all the different things, right? I did years of powerlifting, years of CrossFitting. I did years of all the things. I even went a whole year of not touching any weight whatsoever. I did a whole year of saying, I'm going to convince... I had a trainer one time tell me, you don't deserve to touch a weight unless you can effectively move your own body. I was like, holy crap. The shot right here. He's like, if you can't do burpees effectively, pull-ups, push-ups, if you can't move your own body weight, why are you adding extra weight to your body? And I was like, great point. And I did, I don't know if I told you guys this, I did 30 days of 100 burpees a day.
Oh Lordy.
And I told myself, this is,
It's a nightmare.
it was a nightmare. You're right. It was. But this, in my mind, I said, I was so caught up in doing this that I had to to detach myself from that. And this is something that I think that you guys can take this in a different level. But the way my brain works is that if I get to detach myself from something I'm so attached to, I need to do something that's very uncomfortable to break me away from it. And a lot of times we got to figure out, I would ask yourself, is there an area of your life right now where you're very, very attached to that you just need like a shock to the system to break away to start something very different, right? And sometimes that's what we need. I needed that to get me to like break away, and it was really good and it was healthy, but now I'm back around everywhere. So here's one of the things, when you guys first start in the office, everybody got a bookmark, and in that bookmark you have access to tons and tons and tons of high-intensity interval workouts. The reason why I like those is that you don't need to be you don't need access to a gym. You don't need access to weights a lot of times. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do with minimal equipment. So I'm like, if you just need something to start and just get moving. Is that fair? Just get moving. And again, on the 18th next month, we're going to dive way, way, way into this stuff. And toxins. This is another one that I think is super important, because there is a very, very over-toxic exposure we have in our culture right now to all kinds of chemicals, okay? So where do we start here? First, identify where are we getting them from. So food, water, our environment, cosmetics, men, all of you, listen up.
Yep.
Cleaners, containers, right? All these areas, we gotta dive in deep. So I'm gonna go into each one, but as we dive in, so looking at food, you gotta look, if you're looking at the ingredient list in the food, if there are colors and there are chemicals that you don't recognize and looks like it was made in a lab, you put it back on the shelf and you don't touch it, right? Those are chemicals added in foods. There's artificial sweeteners we put in foods. Artificial sweeteners are known toxins to the brain. They are known toxins that can pass through and get to your brain, so we got to be watching for those. Water, again, our water is just not clean, so making sure that you're getting clean water. And I would also, this is like a pro tip, people who have RO systems, reverse osmosis systems, keep in mind that it pulls all the bad stuff out, but it also leaves it with very little minerals in. So if you're going to be drinking RO water, that's great. You need to make sure you're remineralizing your water so you are getting a lot of those good minerals, okay? And it's simple. You can get at Sprouts, put a couple drops in your water, pretty simple. Environment, this is air, this is the carpet, the paints, right? This is all those things. So I think that it doesn't serve you to get super stressed out about this. You do the best you can with where you are. So in our house, we have air purifiers to make sure we're just getting as much of the toxins out of the air as we can. We do our best to just avoid places that are having like heavily sprayed stuff just to make sure. So just kind of like looking at what can I control and let me start there. Make sense? Cosmetics, we actually have and have created something called a toxic swap list. So if you're someone who like, hey, deodorants, toothpaste, soaps, laundry detergents, all that stuff, you're like, I don't even know where to start. All good. We've done it for you. So we've literally created a list that says, don't use this, use this. Don't use this, use this. And make it super simple to show you where and what are the good options to buy for those products, okay? Cosmetics, cleaners, same thing. They're on that same list. Again, man, growing up as a kid, I was inundated with all this stuff so much. I remember sitting at the kitchen table, my dad would cook me breakfast, smoking a cigarette right in front of me at the kitchen table, right? It says like the wall, this is a true story, the walls of my house were like yellow tinted from all the cigarette smoke. And then we look at, from there, here. Then like after we would clean up dinner, for whatever reason, it was like a family ritual that we would bleach the kitchen. And he was like, we need to make sure that anything living in here is dead. And would bleach the like so much so that like your eyes would just be like peeling back and heaven forbid open a window because you couldn't do that. So it was just like, it was just so bad. So you gotta think to yourself, a lot of the chemicals we use in our house, and this is a true story, if heaven forbid my kids ever got a hold of it and drank it, I wouldn't have to rush them to the hospital because it's mostly like baking soda and like vinegar and lemon. You know what I mean? Like there's natural things that aren't gonna like be so toxic that I gotta go pump my kid's stomach. Make sense? And then containers, if you're gonna be doing things, you just gotta get away from plastic as much as possible. There's microplastics that leach into stuff. Avoid the plastics as much as you can because what's the worst thing of all when it comes to that is getting a plastic container of food and then throwing it in a microwave. If you do one thing after this night, never do that ever again, please. But what you've done is just whatever healthy food you've bought, you've just completely ruined fully, right? Plastics, the one thing I would just think about this one thought. When you're heating up a plastic, you're gonna leach whatever into that food as you heat it up. Whatever chemical is in the plastic, you're gonna leach it into that food. Gotta be careful of making sure we're not heating things in plastics.
They actually said, I gotta add to that because they actually did say that on an average an American actually eats at least one plastic bag or one or two plastic bags a year.
Isn't that crazy?
Through just that.
Yeah.
Just heating food up.
And this is like a side extra pro tip. My wife and I, when we did a whole like toxicity event seminar one time, and as we were preparing for this talk, again, remember I said we can always be better, all of us can be better. We were preparing for the talk, and I remember looking at myself and I was like, we have to get rid of our coffee pot. She's like, what do you mean? And I was like, how do you make coffee in there? She's like, you put water in, and then you turn it on, and then what does it do?
It
Boils water in this plastic container, and then filters it through a plastic filter, and then goes into your coffee pot. And I'm like, we need to fix that. Holy moly, we gotta fix that. So super simple, go to Amazon, we bought a pour over coffee. So now we have a glass container with a stainless steel coffee filter, and we have a stainless steel water like heater up or whatever you call them, right? So literally pour water in this stainless steel container, push a button, it gets hot. I pour it into a stainless steel filter in a glass container, zero plastic.
We're killing our
It's so simple, right? It's so simple. And so again, you guys,
That was no comeback.
when all these things come in, you guys let me know. We'll dive in. Where are we? Okay, so here's 2 different detox supplements that are, if you're like, holy moly, I've been sucking toxins down for way too long and I just need somewhere to start. Here's where I tell people, these are 2 different detoxing supplements that we have, very different purposes. So the detox system is a very strong detox that will pull all kinds of stuff out of your system. So if you're someone who's like, I just need to hit the reset button and pull it all out, this is something that we would recommend you start with. If you're someone who's like, hey, I do a pretty good job and I just want something that's more light on my body but just pretty steady at helping remove things, this is where the Max Cleanse comes in. It's just a steady thing that you can keep in there to help kind of keep toxic levels down, okay? So 2 different things.
You can take my blood pressure also.
These, yes, these should be
Okay.
fine with that, yeah. All right, and then as we wrap this up, go back to the vision. Can you guys see, as we take these 5 things, does you guys see now how each of these things plays a big role inside allowing you to be healthier? Each of these things has different levels of making you be better. And at the end of the day, we got to figure out if the goal in our life is to be present with our families, be present with our job, be present with our whatever, right? Whoever that is or whatever that is. I think we have to remember that you can't do that once you lose your health. And our health has to be a priority so we can do those things. I'm no good to God's kingdom if I'm sick and miserable and in pain and just a mean person, right? Does that make sense? I'm no good to my kids. I'm no good to my wife. I'm no good to anybody if I'm constantly sick and suffering. So the thing is, like, all of us, health has to be a priority because for us to be present and engaged in anything, you gotta have your health. We've all seen it, that when people start putting their health as a priority and they start feeling better, they're just nicer to be around, right? They're just more enjoyable. And like, we gotta make this, when you make your health a priority, everything else now can become better as a result of it, right? So just you guys being here tonight, okay, step 1 of just learning what this is. My next step for you is if you don't have your ticket yet for the seminar on the 18th, go see the team, scan the QR codes, get your ticket. I promise you, you will not want to miss that event. This is going to be above and beyond anything you've done before, by far. We've had to actually rent out our church space to be able to host it because it's going to be so amazing. So, final step is go get your ticket. If you guys have a couple of questions, I'm happy to hang out and stay. If not, God bless you. Have a good night. Rock and roll.
Thank you.
All right.